Good morning, Northwest. I'm Brooke, and I'd like to welcome you to Titan Connect. Oh, and Doughboy. Hello. And we'd like to welcome you to Titan Connect. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now please stay standing for dress code check. You may now be seated. And now for Mr. Agaton.
Good morning, Northwest. Wanted to first of all get started. We know Wednesday is our first game day, so good luck to our football and softball teams as they play their first games this afternoon. So we wish them all the best of luck in their games today. The second announcement before I get into This Day in History Wednesday is to double check and make sure that everybody is aware that on Monday we officially started our incentive program for students at the end of the first quarter to be able to go to the incentives. And the posters are all over the place in the building. But just as a friendly reminder, since it is Wednesday, that it did start on Monday, that no majors, you cannot have a major in order to be able to do the incentive for this first quarter. So guys, please continue to do the right things in the classrooms, in the hallways, in the cafeteria, in bathrooms, just so we're doing the right things as Northwest Titans. That's extremely important. And just a reminder out there for you that it did start on Monday. All right, so Wednesday is, we kind of have like a hodgepodge of some like stuff that went on August 20th. All right, so I'm going to start with, the first one is the Viking 1, which I believe was 1975. Officially launches from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The Viking 1 was a non-manned mission. It was a probe that actually was making its way, the first official one to land on the surface of Mars. It takes 10 months in order to get there. When Viking 1 lands on Mars, it then starts sending over 1,700 images of the surface of the planet. And then we had Viking 2, who would later in the same time frame be landing as well and providing more images. So we were, again, really making history in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s when we had our space race with the United States and at that time the Soviet Union competing against one another in order to be able to land a man on the moon, which the United States did, and then continuing those efforts and exploring our solar system with checking out Mars. So obviously those are big stories in our world today. With Elon Musk and SpaceX wanting to eventually plan where we would actually be sending a manned mission to Mars to land there and check out our neighboring planet. Okay, the second one in history is kind of related. You guys, again, in 7th grade are going to be learning a lot about this, sometimes in 8th grade as well. But the United States in 1954 starts really enacting what they called supporting non-communist nations in the Far East. So the Far East being Vietnam, Cambodia, those countries, Laos. The fear was in the United States during that time period was that after World War II ended, we started having communist nations popping up, the two biggest being China and the Soviet Union itself. So the United States was afraid that these countries that were once controlled by European powers and then after World War II ended would become communist nations. So what the United States did is they started implementing ways and strategies to be able to keep those nations democratic and not to fall under communism. There was a famous political cartoon that is actually published in the newspapers that kind of shows it was called the domino theory, that the United States felt that if one country would fall, then all of the other nations in the Far East would fall to the communist regime, and that thus creating a major issue for the United States and the ideas of democracy. Okay, so that was in 1954. And then in 1920, for our football fans out there, just make sure I get this right. So there was a meeting on August 20th of 1920 in the now famous small town of Canton, Ohio. For those that do not know.
Yes! Woo!
Okay. Well, we got two people that are from Canton, Ohio, clearly, that are very excited about it. Canton, Ohio is the home of the NFL Hall of Fame. And the reason that it was housed there is that there was a meeting that took place with then football players, one of the most famous being Jim Thorpe. And the meeting was to create what was known as the American Professional Football Conference. That conference is now what we know as the NFL today. So that was the organization that was created to then start the process where we eventually have the merger, where we do have now the National Football League. So that's why we have the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, in case if anybody was curious on why it was there. All right, so that was all I had for this Day in History Wednesday. Again, good luck to our sports teams today. Be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. Thank you, Northwest. Have a great Wednesday.